Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone around the world. This is Wraithkind back with another episode of our Forgotten Realms D&D campaign with the Protectors. The Protectors take their first steps into the Feywild in an effort to rescue Banner's powerful patron. But first, they have to find the city of Sildir. Let's join them and see what happens next. Does anybody want to give us a recap of the last session?
I can. I haven't done it ever, so why not?
Yes, please.
So the group of the defenders head into the Yuirwood after being transported to the edge of it by Doradar in the previous session. As we're going along, we're dodging the blue flames, and we come up on nighttime, where we decide that we either have to climb up trees or spend a night in Velus's hut. However, we weren't sure what the blue flames' random spontaneous movements would do if they hit the hut, so we tried creating the hut on top of the blue flames. Needless to say, things went boom. Velus went flying. He learned it. He had a ton of fun while that happened.
That was hilarious.
So up the trees we go. As night falls, Banner and Lycum in squirrel form are hanging out, keeping watch, and all of a sudden some blink dogs come upon our camp and start hiding down below the tree. Banner decides to do what was it like? You tried to
assert
do
dominance.
Assert his dominance to the pack, which he successfully did, and he was going to. It seemed like he was going to 1v1 the pack leader until Beetle, out of startled disarray, saw what was happening, saw Banner surrounded by blink dogs, and decided to help out and jump on in. And what ensued was the complete annihilation of a pack of blink dogs between fire,
Pack
lightning, and bolts.
I had this mental image of everyone turning towards Beetle and saying, "Beetle!"
I am that character in our sitcom. I am the Gilligan.
Yes. We then head out the next day towards the direction of the portal. We arrive trying to sneak past a couple spell-plagued bears when all of a sudden Beetle shooting an arrow through the portal to see what happens, and then as we're trying to sneak past, Banner casting Hex on one of the bears ensues some aggression from them, and so we have quite a tense battle where I think just Beetle not Beetle, but Emeraldy and Dawn go down briefly. Dawn after the fact, after her shockwave of spell power hitting her HP. Also, we awoke a baby dracolich that was kind of controlling the blue flame and put blue flame up, blocking the portal from our entry. So that's kind of where we left off. We just defeated everything, and we're a bloody mess right now.
Yep.
Oh, and we did sense that
Bert.
Yuirwood was somehow better after killing.
Oh yeah, yeah, and Lycum communed with nature and told Doradar that we've cleared out that effect that was hitting.
Yeah,
and yes, we lost Bert.
Which reminds me, you've not had a chance to check your journal lately, correct?
Oh man, probably not.
All right, I was just wondering. Okay.
So are we taking a short rest?
Before we go in, yes, we should, because we have no idea where in the Feywild will come out, and there are deadly things there as well.
Everybody's conscious now, though, right?
I think we woke Dawn up after we went.
I have 11 HP.
Beetle's gonna walk over to the smashed remnants of Bert and just kind of pick them up and just kind of...
No.
As you do so, the spring just kind of boing.
Oh.
And one of his legs just kind of and falls off, hits the ground with a rattle.
She kind of sniffles into her jerkin sleeve, he was a good little guy.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I can make another one?
Beetle, I'm very sorry about Burt Reynolds. He was
I can't take it seriously when you say his whole name. Sorry, go ahead.
he was a good spider. But I don't want to downplay your loss, but on the bright side, the next one you build, you will make yourself, and I'm sure it will be twice as amazing.
I just hope the doorman isn't mad when I get back and I don't have his Bert. Oh well. And if we're gonna is it safe to take a short rest here now? Like, is the blue fire gone?
Looking around, you do not see any signs of the blue fire.
Okay.
But as you do look around, your gaze catches something kind of curious as the stone archway and the portal seems to be kind of fluctuating now, just a little bit.
Crap.
As the sun begins to kind of go down past its high noon zenith.
Did you see that? I think we might need to go now.
I roll over through the portal, since I'm on the ground right next to it.
All right. Well, if Dawn can do it, I think the rest of us can muster up the strength.
Wait!
And I walk through.
I'm already in the Feywild.
This is a bad idea.
I can't
This is
hear
a bad
you.
idea.
I can't hear you
Feels
across
like-
the planar boundary.
I walk up behind up next to Beetle and just tap her on the back. It's all right. Hopefully they're all right.
She looks up at you and she's a bloody mess.
And I just druidcraft a squirt of water into your face just to help wash it out. Just like, there you go. I got you, Beetle.
And Vel is kind of, well, let me help you with that. And he casts prestidigitation on you.
I look down at my wounds that are still bleeding heavily.
You'll be fine.
Dawn just rolled in at 11 hit points.
Can we see Dawn?
Yeah, you can actually see
right at the other side
through
of the
the portal.
It's like a door,
Guys, I'm like, it's
except an
fine.
oval.
Yeah.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if I can see what's happening to the portal?
Sure.
It is losing its magic now that we dispelled the enchantment.
Emeraldi calls out, should we scout around and see if these creatures left any treasure or anything? I know
Yeah.
I wanted to take a couple of dragon teeth with me.
Beetle, you really have no idea. You've not really been through a portal before, so you have no point of reference.
Okay.
Yep. Dawn and Banner are in another plane. Portal closes, new adventure. The Adventures of Dawn and Banner.
So, what are we doing?
I'm waiting in the Feywild.
Yeah, Lycum's gonna head through.
Okay.
And he's immediately gonna turn around and watch Beetle and Velis and Emeraldi, making sure that they're safe on the other side.
Beetle is cursing very loudly and undercommon at this point. And she starts gathering up all the pieces of Bert on the ground and stuffing them into like her tinker satchel and comes through.
Okay. Emeraldi, what are you doing?
I wanted to search around to see if there's any treasure or at least try to get a couple dragon teeth, but it seems like everyone's in a very much hurry to get through here. We got a little bit of time before this thing goes out. If not, then Emeraldi
All right.
go back to Earth.
Make a quick investigation check, and if you want to try to grab a dragon tooth of what is left of the corrupted silver dragon, make an athletics check as you try to grab it as you're like running by.
Okay, here's athletics.
Yeah, you snap.
The big ass tooth.
And then you said perception or investigation?
Investigation. Yeah, you can say with certainty that these were just mutated bears. They don't necessarily go around
Collecting
carrying,
treasure.
gold pouches. Well, there are a few bones of humanoid remains. Okay, so this is what happens. Emeraldy, you grab a tooth in each hand and you heave and you manage to snap off 2 teeth. And you, of course, choose the 2 largest teeth, the eye teeth of this great beast, which are both quite large as you stuff them into your pack. And as you're running towards the portal, you're kind of, looking left and looking right, and you catch sight of a skeleton there that some of the clothes is barely on it. It's mostly just scraps of cloth now at this point, and bits of dried, decayed flesh, I should say. But you do manage to see a leather pouch attached to the belt of one of these, the belt there, and you grab the belt and you run through the portal. Looking inside the belt real quickly, you find 120 gold pieces along with 450 silver.
Okay.
I think that's everyone. As Velis is actually probably, along with Dawn and Banner, one of the first ones through the portal. As you all step through the portal, forest litter crunches under your feet. The forest is dark, punctuated with small green fairy lights scattered throughout, creating starkly contrasting shadows. The musky smell of dew and moss surround you, along with huge trees whose trunks are easily larger than you could wrap your arms around. Their thick branches kind of at odd angles, creating kind of a creepy overall image as a visual as it holds up a forest canopy that's just simply impossible to pierce. Across the forest floor are gnarled roots of these self-same trees, thick fingers of bark webbing across soil and moss-covered rock alike. Thorny vines can also be seen in other places, dipping into the soil only to rise again out of it, revealing long thorns, keeping any creature foolish enough to try to get at its soft internals at bay. The forest is absolutely alive with the calls of birds, both great and small. You hear the receding sound of hooves as a stag bounds over bush and root away from the portal, startled by your sudden arrival. To your right is a creek. Its water is tumbling down over wet rock. Continue on deeper into the forest, seeming to cut a path parallel to the portal before bending away from you and diving further away into the forest and out of sight.
Is there any landmark at all besides just forest at this point?
No, you look around, all you see is nothing but this strange, eerily lit forest.
Does it seem like we're safe at all while where we are?
Make a perception check.
All right.
Dawn is creeping up behind you with a dagger.
All right, I'll take that.
Very nice. Looking around, you don't see any overt signs of aggression or animals that look threatening.
I look to the group and let them know that it looks fairly safe based on the current condition of where we are in. I know that we're in the Feywild, some place completely new, but we have our bearings in this one little area. We might as well take a short rest if we can.
I agree. I need a breather.
Banner?
This is about as safe as it's going to get, I think.
I kind of figured.
we might want to step away from the creek in case an animal decides to come for a drink, however.
I'd take 5 steps away from the creek. And then sit back down.
Beetle will go to wherever the group tells her is safe because she's kind of out of it.
I'm noticing Beetle's actually like dazed. I'm gonna say, Beetle, do you need a potion or something?
Oh,
No, I just need to rest for a little bit.
I forgot. Cog is still with you, yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Oh.
yeah. What happens to Cog when we go through?
As you step through the portal and Cog flies after you. Now, keep in mind that Cog is a spiritual apparition, but as he
He's a
flies
spirit.
through, you see this really strange look. This kind of feeling of startlement passes through this bond that you share with him as spiritual feathers and beak become solid as it flies through.
Wait, I thought he manifests as he looks like a real animal in the real world.
Mm-mm.
Really?
Yes. It's unless I read it wrong, but for now,
Okay.
roll with it.
I think it might be backwards, but I'm going with it.
Well, welcome to the land of solid entities, Cog. So, well, Beetle, if you're okay, we should, let's all rest, but maybe a few, just out of view of the stream, just in case something would be passing through. I should, and while we're resting, I want to tell I just want to have a short conversation about the group since we ended up in the wilds part of the Feywild to talk about a few things, but
All right.
once
Yeah.
we're settled.
You guys are able to settle down and take a short rest. So you can go ahead and use any hit dice you wish to, if you haven't already.
Do hit dice take your con mod
Yes,
as well? Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does each one take it, or is it after
Yeah.
you?
No,
one.
each one.
Cool.
Is Velas gonna give us a song of rest?
Yes. Consider it done. Let's see at D8. Let me look here.
That was a good roll for me.
No, not. He's still a D6 for a song of
Yeah,
rest.
D6. All right. I will roll that.
Nice, Don.
It's only 2 hit points, but
We'll
hey,
take it.
it's 2 that you did not have before.
And the best
I
thing
get
about being
22.
a druid is I now have all my wild shapes back.
As you guys take a long rest and kind of settle in a little bit, like you feel a deeper connection than you ever have before to your primal powers. It's almost startling. You've not even in the height of your power, you've never had this kind of solid connection. But then again, you've never been in the Feywild before. Dawn, you get a different sensation as you feel your powers grow ever a little bit more difficult to manage, and as a result, whenever you cast a spell, you'll get a wild surge on a 1 or a 2.
Okay.
And on that note, I will mention to the group so since we are out in the wilds of the Feywild, I just wanted to say there are, that spellplague business that we're always running into lately, it seems like. Here, things are more naturally occurring, but there are places here where magic runs deep. And if we see the terrain change significantly, we should be careful. Dawn, you should be careful, especially. I don't know what it might do to you, but we need to be cautious. Lycum, you can probably just become a demigod and start running things down, but the rest of us should. But either way, if the terrain changes, there's probably dangerous things about as well.
Did the spellplague come to the Feywild?
No, this is a natural.
No, I know that's not what you're talking about, but I'm just talking in general. Does anyone know?
Lycum actually would know that the spell plague actually used portals and holes and tears in the planar fabric to transit from one place to another. The spell plague actually originated to the south, but thanks to various teleportation circles and various portals to other planes, the blue fire reached across the world. Well, across Faerun, and perhaps further, no one seems to know. As is given evidence by the area surrounding the portal, no longer being held open by the blue fire of the Yuirwood, as you guys are resting, the portal, as it becomes right around 2 in the afternoon, begins to flicker and then finally fades, leaving behind what you see is just this strange stone arch that is with a bunch of various runes, arcane runes on it. Around the portal, as you guys are looking around, you see scattered several more humanoid skeletons and bones, long since picked clean by the animals of the forest. You would actually probably expect to see more, though there are some skeletons with noticeable bones missing, like the femur and an arm here, and in some cases a skull. Nothing really remains of that. You see old signs of what could have been at one point scorch marks surrounding what was once the portal that is now out.
Over the course of the short rest, I build a new bird.
Emerald wanted to do 2 things during the short rest as well.
Okay.
First is I wanted to do a ritual to purify the 2 dragon teeth. And then I wanted to run a stone cutting check on the stone arch.
Okay. You're able to do that. You didn't really necessarily get a sense of evil from the teeth itself. Based on everything that you've seen of the remnants of the spell plague thus far, whatever corrupting influence was there was dissipated on the dracolich's death. Go ahead and make your stone cunning check. Okay.
Yeah.
He had it ready.
Well, look at you, leaving me behind. Looking at the stonework, you can tell it's extremely old. Matter of fact, the arcane runes there, even though you can tell they're arcane runes, are well worn by hundreds, perhaps even thousands of years of age. You have no clear idea how long this particular construct has been there. Though the rounded architecture and the hand at work leads you to believe that it was perhaps done by star elves.
I relayed that information to the group. I took a moment, everyone, to study the stonework. It's very, very old, and some of the cleave marks and how the stone was shaped makes me kind of conclude roughly this may have been made by a kind of elf kind of called a star elf. Do any of you know what star elf is?
Isn't Talia a star elf?
That's what the elves here are, Emeraldy.
Well, you guys didn't lend me the books about the Feywild. I'd asked several times and none of you gave them to me, and now I'm in this place. I don't know what the hell's going on.
All right.
I didn't think you were serious about knowing how to read.
Ouch.
Beetle says with a little glint in her eye.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm Don's meditating just in general and collecting HP back through resting, but also meditating on the Feywild itself. Do I sense a connection with my Fey ancestry and the plane now that I'm on it? Do I feel anything?
You do. It's really hard to put a finger on it. It was almost like, you know, when you've been traveling for a long time on vacation and then you get home and you kind of take this deep sigh of relief and you're like, oh, it's so nice to be back. That is...
It's like that, but I've never been here before.
Exactly. But that's exactly the way you feel is when you stepped through the portal, even in your state. Actually, I guess you rolled through the portal.
I crawled through.
You were like laying there, and you just had that moment of I belong here feeling. You know, like you were finally home. In all of its terrible, dangerous, and wild beauty, this just felt like home. Feels like home.
Is it only the elves who feel that way?
In this group, yes.
Okay. Gnomes, I think, have ancestry to the Feywild too at some point, but Beetle's never really thought of the Feywild that way. She thinks of the Underdark that way.
Yeah, in this particular area, that is the way you feel.
Okay. A couple things about the new Bert.
Mm-hmm.
I make him so that he can grab onto me like a backpack and I can wear him that way.
Okay.
Which will probably interfere with my actual backpack, but you know, just in case. If you allow me to, I would like to arrange a pulley system with him and spool that mithril thread so that he's got like an anchor basically with the mithril wire.
She had it made
I had that mithril wire made.
I remember the wire. Explain.
I'm having a hard time envisioning.
Yeah,
what you
me
mean.
too.
Okay, sorry.
That's why I had this confused expression.
Spool, so that I can anchor him somewhere, and that he'll be able to drop down like a spider. That's his web thread.
I kind of like the way. I kind of like the idea. Let's talk about that a little between sessions.
Offline. Okay, cool.
As we're taking a...
I'm not saying no, I'm saying let's talk about it.
Okay. Fair.
Beto, I told you could do it and better than before.
What's this one like? Is he does he seem like the old Bert? Does he seem like a brand new creature?
Since you did this over a short rest, what I envision is you went to furious work on the corpse of Bert. Springs and sprockets were flying as you were, putting things in and, grabbing a tool and kind of levering things into place and you would hear this sharp popping sound and you're like, yes, and over the course of about an hour or so, he begins to, he's laying on his back and he's got his abdomen open as you're continuing to work and you reattach a new leg and kind of screw it tight and and you grab some oil. You're like going nuts with the oil. Yeah, all right. And then you begin to start kind of pouring in a little of your arcane ability into its core, and you see its legs just kind of twitch, showing the first signs of life. And towards the end of the hour, he eventually comes to full life with the backpack. Backpack Bert is alive and well, and as he kind of, you turn him over and you set him on his feet, he kind of scuttles into a circle, and it seems like it's taking in its unexpected and new surroundings, and all of its eyes kind of shuddering open and closed, and it seems just like the old Bert. Seems like you just revived him and did a couple of modifications.
I give him a big hug.
And of course,
He tolerates it.
he does tolerate it, and of course, because you built it, deep within its abdomen, you hear like this little mechanical purring sound.
The purring thing works. Yay.
During the short rest, Lycum is just over there hopping a flame back and forth between each finger. After having gone through not being able to cast higher level spells to now being able to like have a better connection with my magic powers than I've ever had before, he's kind of going through a little bit of internal whiplash, just contemplating and just testing things out, and just has this flame as he's just focusing. That's all he does the whole hour, is just focusing on that.
And as you do so, you notice that the flame sometimes unexpectedly flares with a brilliance that you hadn't anticipated.
For the short rest with Banner, not having any bearings on being able to guide this group where we need to go, he's going to try and do what he did when he was upset before and Dawn came after him, and just see if he can feel Talia, and if he can make that connection, what direction she might be in.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about that.
She's 10 feet to your right. Dawn has been Talia the whole time.
What ability are you using
Dun,
for this?
dun, dun.
I'm not. I'm just trying to see if I can feel a connection to her like I did when we were in the forest of the Yuirwood.
Do a Arcana check.
Oh, okay. We'll see how this goes.
He's trying to home in on her psychic wave.
Oh!
Yes.
DC 20 feels bad.
Wasn't expecting that. You
For a while.
I gotta look at something real quick. I like it when you surprise me, but on the other hand, I always have to look up information real quick because it's like, I wasn't expecting it.
Half the time I say I'm looking something up,
Oops,
I'm actually just
wrong one.
making things up and writing it down really quickly.
It's a good cover.
In this case, that sometimes that is the case for me. In this case, it is not. I'm actually looking up something.
It feels like a better excuse to give, though, so I always default to that one.
That is true. Ooh, okay. All right. So, as you close your eyes and begin to try to feel for the presence of Talia, it's faint, which is kind of surprising given that you're now on the same plane of existence, but you do sense it off. It's kind of hard to give it a direction As you're looking around, you have no point of reference. No, you can't see any sun because of the forest canopy. You can't see any stars because of the forest canopy. But it's off to your right. You have no sense of how far. It's really difficult to get a read on it. At one moment, it seems like, oh, it's very close. It must be close. But then at the very next moment, it feels far away.
So basically what you're saying is, like, I'm getting like a whole section of horizon as a direction.
You're getting a pretty good direction. You just have no sense of distance.
Okay, which is fair. Okay.
You would know, based on being here before, Banner, that, for example, if you walked from the tavern to the inn, it may take you 15 minutes, but if you take the same exact path and go from the inn to the tavern, it may take you 30. There's no one that can really understand or explain why this is. Mm-hmm. It's just the Feywild.
Okay. So, Banner gets up after the rest and is like, well, I can feel Talia in this direction, but I don't really have anything else to go on other than that.
Be right back. Gotta feed the toddler.
She could be leagues away, or she could be over the next hill.
You're muted, Julie. Julia, sorry.
Do you think we would be able to retrieve her and save her, just us, or do we need help?
Well, that's what I'm thinking right now is, do I know where, because I know Anwell has her, and I don't know, he might not be keeping her, like, in his, there's only so many places I would assume. I guess, is most of the houses, literal houses, near the city, like Talia's is?
Most of their primary compounds or manors or mansions are near the main city, simply because it's really hard to build anything in the Feywild and keep the Feywild actually at bay.
Okay.
But you also know that most of the great houses, I don't, maybe you don't know it, but it's just logic that they would have like summer retreats, or maybe not summer retreats, but vacation retreats, hunting retreats and stuff off in other areas.
Okay. Well, and that being what I was sort of thinking, either Anwell has her somewhere near the city, or he does. There are fewer places outside of the city, but on the other hand, if I was him, I might be as far away from the city as possible if I'm holding her. I think we need to go to the city first. I do think we need some kind of guidance, but not knowing how to get there from here, I'm not really sure if I have another. I don't know how I have any other frame of reference other than my connection to her. And Banner looks at the stonework to see if he can read the runes with his eyes, to see if there's anything on there that would describe this arch's location in reference to anything else.
Unfortunately, as you look at the runes, you realize that they are just arcane runes. They're not necessarily a fluent writing. Runes typically tend to mean a thing, and the meaning is often lost on most people, other than perhaps wizards and the occasional sorcerer.
I will say,
get any sense of what kind of enchantments they are? I mean, it's probably just the magic that makes the thing work, but
You can make an Arcana check. I mean,
Nope.
I think it's fairly logical to assume that it has something to do with portals.
Wait,
Right.
wait. Ask Cog which way we go. He was just here.
Oh.
Go to the city.
Yeah. Cog, buddy, do you know where we are?
Cog kind of looks around and gives you a mental shrug, but then he takes flight and flies straight up towards the forest canopy and through it with a kind of a flutter of falling leaves. He doesn't go far because he has to stay within 100 feet of you for you to be able to do that. But as he does so, he pierces the forest canopy. You are actually given a breathtaking view of just almost endless forests, and off to the right is, I have to be very careful because there's not necessarily a sense of direction in this place, and I keep on wanting to say north, south, and east and west.
Desk word.
Yes. Off to the right, relative to where you are, you see grassy, kind of a grassy plains for, I don't know, a few miles as far as you can see to the horizon, in the hint of a tree line beyond that. Far in the distance, you kind of get the mental impression of Cog almost straining to see. You see a brief glint, metallic glint of something. You see kind of a hint of structure, a very large structure reaching up out of the forest. Perhaps it could be a tower. It's really hard to see from this distance. Go ahead.
Now, how does that relate to the direction that Banner was pointing and saying, "I sense Talia"?
Right.
It's
The same
generally
way?
in the same direction. Yes, generally.
And that's the only structure or sign of like civilization that I see in this huge, sweeping, expansive forest.
Yes. And as Cog kind of wheels around, you notice that the sky is just beautiful hues of pinks and with little hints of violet and gold, kind of like the colors you would see from a setting sun. You don't see any stars in the sky, no sense of sun or moon. It's just this kind of twilight kind of hues as far as the eye can see. Off in the other direction, you see something, another thing that's a little strange, as the trees seem to get larger and the canopy of the forest breaks up. As you watch, you see a huge head kind of bobbing through the forest canopy, kind of parallel to where you are. And then you see another and another. These huge long necks, fur-covered necks, kind of sprouting out of the forest, looking a little like plants, as it kind of seems to smell the air, and you see a couple of eye stalks on each one, gazing one way and the other. You see large birds, at least you take them to be birds at first, until they kind of wheel away, and you realize that they are very much fish-like as they kind of bob and weave through the air in a small school.
It is weird here.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay. Okay, out of character, real quick. Do the big tall things with the furry necks that were kind of plant-like, do they look dangerous?
You don't know. You've never seen anything like that before.
Okay, that way.
They weren't heading towards you. They were just
right. They're just kind of bopping around, looking around.
Okay,
that way.
I will say this: you did notice them occasionally kind of bend down and pull off big branches of trees, and chew on them as they kind of graze.
Okay. That way, there are really old trees, like bigger than these trees, and some sort of huge animals that are towering over the canopy with like long furry necks, but they might be part plant, but they're eating plants. It's weird. And also over there, there's flying fish that are flying in the air. What the hell, Banner? I asked him like
I told you it was
this.
a fun place.
But the way that you were indicating over that way, sweeping plains, like there's a break in the tree line, and I can't really see it. There's another tree line on the other side of that, and I think there might be like a tower or a keep or something over there in the direction that you were sensing her.
And that's all there is to really see.
Those were the only things I saw of interest, other than how really pretty the sky is here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what we're walking into, the rest of you, but it also sounds like that's the only way to go.
Yeah.
So, if you're with me, still, I think that's probably the direction we should head.
Lycum looks at you and then changes into direwolf form. And he just kind of walks up next to you.
I know.
As you change into direwolf form, Lycum, you're actually startled as the fur on your back actually gets a tinge of green on it. And your hackles kind of raise a little bit as you immediately catch a whiff of something you've never smelled before. It's not dew, it's not moss, it's something. Can't quite place it. Actually, make a nature check. Yeah, you've never smelled this before. It's a new scent entirely.
I don't say anything. I'm just trying to figure out what the heck's happening.
Okay.
Hey.
Enjoying the new sense.
Well, look who turned into a proper wolf.
I look up at Banner, not quite sure what he's talking about because I can't see the back of my hair. Like, can I?
No.
You can feel bone structure difference, though, right?
Yeah, I'm just like.
Your
wolves are weird.
I'd say yeah. So you're just a dire wolf here now. It seems like you just kind of naturally fell into that. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I try to jump just a hair, just kind of like a teenager getting used to like growing a little bit and like making sure that I still have some of my reactions. I jump and I move around just a hair. Just
you all see Lycum frolic around the woods.
I'm like that dog jumping through the weeds, just like bounding.
Beetle, you and Lycum match now, and I point to the streak going down his back.
All right. So are you continuing on to that direction, or what's the plan here?
Banner, I go where you lead.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going that direction. And having had a short rest, I will say one more thing. I don't think. I guess I should ask out of character, but I'm pretty sure it's always dusk here, right? There's
yes.
no. Okay.
Yeah. No.
So,
there's no sense of time here, really.
So we're going to need to rest when we feel tired because the skies you saw, Beetle, it's just kind of always like that here. So just there won't be a dock to tell us when to sleep.
So Alaska in the summer.
Yes.
And with that, I guess we start walking to the right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will occasionally send Cog up to make sure we're always going the same direction, like every 15 minutes.
Okay.
I have a pretty good sense of direction too.
You do continue off to the right, which is off in the direction that the creek was heading as well, which is probably good because as you're traveling through this dark forest, you realize that navigating through this without the clearing offered by the creek would have been much more difficult and probably a lot slower. As you're kind of climbing over the occasional large rock and kind of stepping through at times, hopping from one side of the creek to the other. A couple of hours pass as you make painstaking progress. You notice that the creek begins to grow in width and little by little in depth. And over the next hour after that, the creek then grows from being a soft, quiet, bubbling creek to something akin to a creek full of rapids. The current now much stronger. You have to spend a little bit more time and care going from one side of the creek to the other until finally you can't cross the creek any longer, being stuck now on the left side of it. You all take a brief break to have some lunch and before continuing on into what you might think as the late afternoon. It's hard to really tell. You're not really sure how many hours that you've been traveling by now, but as you continue on, you continue to get this kind of this elusive scent occasionally wafting your way. Makes it even more difficult since there's no breeze. The forest is still. But Beetle, as you continue on, you also begin to feel the familiar sensation of being watched.
I'm gonna ask Cog to look around and see if he can see anything watching us.
Okay. You mean above the forest, just flying?
Yeah. First flying up around, through the trees, kind of doing kind of a sweep, and then up and over.
Okay. Have Cock make a. Looking around above the forest canopy, you see additional strange sights that you have by now, maybe not become accustomed to, but are a little less shocking than they were before. However, as he dives down below the forest canopy and again makes a circuit, Cog seems to catch something out of the corner of its eyes, and indeed he sees a hint of a shadow slipping from tree to tree. It's a large shadow, easily 8 feet in height, walking on 2 large legs.
Boy.
But that's all he's able to see of this elusive creature.
Okay. I will mention that, and I'll point out its direction. How far is it from us?
You're on the left side of the creek. It's further off to your left, deeper
Okay.
into the forest.
Can Lycum, as you said, you mentioned it to the group.
Yeah, for
Can
sure.
Lycum kind of like take a look and see if he can tell what it is? See it, whether or not he can see it, or even if maybe that might be where
Sure.
the smell's
Go
coming
ahead
from.
and make a perception check.
Smell it.
And you have advantage because of the scent, right?
Yeah, center hearing.
Again, because it's really hard. You've not really come across this scent before. It does give you a.
Do I
kind
know
of
like
a-
direction?
Yeah, I mean it's not far from where you are. If you have your back to the now river, it's in front of you. You can tell that the scent is not moving. You get the sensation of dew-covered fur from the scent, but again, you can't really place what it is because you've never really encountered.
And it's the same thing that I noticed. It's the same smell that I noticed back at when we
Yes.
took our. I'll let Banner know that finally. Say, hey, I'm smelling this continuing along with us. I don't know what it is, but there's something over there.
Lycum seems to think that whatever it is, it's what he's smelled since we first arrived. So it might be. Should we lay in wait for a moment? If it continues to follow us, maybe we should deal with this now rather than later.
Should we try to talk to it?
Yeah. What if it's not? Is it dangerous? Could it be
I'm
dangerous?
not saying we straight up attack it. I'm just saying we try and flush it out.
Well, I do know our MO, which is to kill about everything that we see.
I feel like as strangers in this very strange land, maybe we should ask questions first and murder things second.
I can.
I'm generally opposed to that idea, but
I can try Sylvan, if it's.
So I mean, how are you guys going about that? Are you trying to hide and one person kind of do this, or explain to me how you guys are going about this?
I would think Banner would suggest maybe everyone lay low and he could try and get its attention.
Yeah, I'll make a stealth check. I don't want to be too far from you, though.
All right.
I just feel like Banner.
yeah, same.
Yeah, and there's plenty of moss-covered rocks around. There's plenty of trees. I mean, it would be easy to find a place to hide, at the very least. So anybody that wants to kind of huddle down, go ahead and make a stealth check.
Dawn can make a stealth check if she wants to.
All right, I'll make one.
I'm just rolling
Banner's
all the
gonna
nat
try
20s.
to talk to.
I'm gonna pull my hood up to have advantage,
Yeah.
and so it can't see me.
Emerald.
Emerald, he's just sitting on the stump, just rocking back, like just sitting there, like.
Everybody's hiding in Emerald. He's just sitting on the stump going, "What? What?"
If it's that bad, Banner's just gonna be like, "And my friend Dwarf here."
It's not like there's camouflage paint for my armor.
And I do feel like it knows of this whole group if it's been following us the whole
That's
time.
probably true.
Yeah. Oh, well,
I could go with you, Banner.
I keep forgetting.
If it
about
gets
Velas.
nasty, I'll get nasty back.
Banner, as you're trying to coax this, make a persuasion check.
Okay.
And I gotta do a stealth check for. All right, that's decent.
Og's not very stealthy right now.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
Do you want me to
all right.
roll? Or
Yeah.
oh, okay. So Banner will step forward towards the left, and I just like these directions. And he will, just in Sylvan, he'll say, "Friend creature, can you come out?"
Do you have? I mean, are you enticing him with anything, or?
I'm just getting its attention right now, letting it know that I know it's there.
All right. Make a perception check. Yeah. You don't see anything, but you hear from somewhere in the shadows of the trees this deep What do you do?
I pull out a small ration of food and throw it in front of me to see and then I say, "Would you like something to eat? Are you hungry? Is that why you're following us?" And I throw it out there and see if it'll jump down into view.
Okay, so make just a charisma ability check. It's just your charisma plus...
There it is.
All right.
Emerald adds guidance to that if he needs it.
Nice. See, that's a D4. Go ahead and roll a D4.
We are the party of bonus D4s.
It's so true.
Woohoo! Hey, every little bit counts.
Andrew, I think he wants you to roll it. I think.
No, Banner, roll it.
Oh, I roll it? Oh, I'm sorry. That's on me. I thought he rolled that. And I just rolled something else by accident. Sorry.
All right, I'll roll it for you.
There you go.
There you
3.
go. You got a 3. All right. So that brings it up to 17. All right. So, again, nothing immediately happens, but as you're watching, you catch your breath as a creature slowly emerges from behind a tree that's starting amazingly close. I still cannot say that freaking word. It's humanoid. In fact, in size and stature, it reminds you a lot of Yukon Longchain. Very large, very muscular. It has long brown fur covering its body, except for its face, which reveals a surprisingly human visage with almond eyes. Its face is angular with pointed jaw and a hint of 2 lower tusks, strong hands that end with nails reminiscent of a bear. In one hand, he holds a large tree branch, easily the size of, like from your torso up in size, roughly shaped into a club, with leather wraps making up the handle. It doesn't entirely step out of the shadows, but it looks at the little morsel, and you realize compared to its size it is little, hungrily, and it kind of grunts,
Do I
and
recognize
it makes a hand gesture of food to mouth.
Do I recognize this creature from stories at all? In Sildir? Now that I've caught a glimpse of it.
I don't think you would. It's very elusive. Actually, Leica might be the only one that has a chance to know if you roll a... I wish there was like a lore check that you could do, but I guess history will have to do. Yeah, unfortunately, you've never heard of this creature.
I take a bigger morsel out and throw it a few steps closer than the one that I already threw out.
It takes a couple of hesitant steps forward. And as it does so, you notice that it leaves behind very large footprints. You could probably stand both of your feet side by side, and it would cover the width of his foot as he kind of steps forward. He looks at you cautiously, and he bends down and goes down on one knee, and he's not threatening, but he's holding his club like close, and he quickly grabs the morsel and takes a couple quick steps back as he just plunges it into his mouth, and you hear as he eats it.
I know it has a human face, but I'm going to attempt to speak with animals and say, you have nothing to fear from us. We don't really want any trouble. We're headed somewhere rather dangerous as it is.
What animal are you trying to...
It wasn't I guess his grunts that I heard. I wasn't aware I needed
well, I mean, this is kind of a challenging situation, but
yeah,
because when I think about speak with animal, you know what the animal is, and you know how it...
Didn't you say that his claws were sort of like a bear's?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
He looks like a monkey bear, so I'm gonna try monkey and bear, and like a monklish. You call it bear key. I'm gonna try bear.
He's a mare.
Now, if we were in person, I would say I have to see you try to act this one out. Hey, it's Chewbacca. Sorry.
Basically,
yeah.
Well, kind of.
Somebody get this walking carpet out of my way.
So as you kind of go through this tirade of half growls and grunts, after maybe a couple minutes of this, the creature kind of cocks its head and looks confused.
Okay.
And
So does Dawn.
And then you see him make a couple of very surprisingly complex hand gestures, as if he's saying something. He makes a couple of complex hand gestures and
without knowing what they exactly are, I'm not sure how to interpret that. I use hand gestures to say, and I point to him and I say, "Are there more of you?"
He kind of cocks his head.
Like, and I count on my fingers.
Oh, wow. Okay. It takes him a moment. At first you think that, it didn't get through. But then you see the slow, and I mean slow kind of recognition in his eyes as what you were trying to say kind of registers. And his eyebrows lowered, and he kind of does this. And he kind of, you hear almost a guttural growl.
I don't know what that was. What do you mean does that? I couldn't see your hand if you did something.
This.
Oh. You're alone then. They fell.
You're lucky I'm rolling good tonight. And again, after a moment, a sad look crosses his face.
I tell everyone to stand up. I say everyone.
Do you warn him first?
Oh, I say. Oh, well, I tell everyone stand up, please, and I kind of motion to him. I was like, I have friends that are still standing.
That was perhaps a little bit too complex for him, as he looks at you all around. You get the sense that he knew they were there all the time, especially Emeraldi.
Beetle takes a ration out of her pack and she kind of walks up close to where Banner's standing and she holds it out to him.
And I say, you can join us if you're sad.
I had not anticipated this whole thing. Okay, so this is kind of cool. He looks confused, but then he sees the food in Beetle's hand, and he kind of stabs forward with a claw and like hooks it on his claw and just kind of flicks it in his mouth.
I just grin up at him.
After a moment, he kind of seems to lose interest. You get the sense that perhaps he was just curious as to who was traipsing through his woods. And he makes a few more complex gestures and ends with kind of this happy and then he puts his club on his shoulder and he walks back into the woods, and he's not 5 feet into the woods before you simply can't see him. He just kind of melds right into. You notice a brief moment before he does so, his fur changed color.
Cool. He was so cool.
I look down at my paw and I'm trying to decide whether or not I can change color. Can I change? I try to change my paw to blue.
No, nothing happens. You just end up looking at your paw for about 10 seconds.
Well, yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I was kind of hoping he might come storm whatever tower we're about to head into with us, but that was interesting. He had some big feet. He was quite the Bigfoot.
Yeah, maybe we'll call him Bigfoot.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, at least we're safe for now. Should we bed down for the night? It feels like we've been at this for 10 hours or so.
That sounds good to me.
And indeed,
wasn't it late hours? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I mean, you are all pretty exhausted at this point. You don't know how far you've gone, but you feel like you've gone quite a ways. And this is where we're actually going to take a brief 5-minute break.
Cool.
Perfect.
Hey guys, we just talked to a Sasquatch and fed him dinner instead of having to fight him.
Well, we fed him a snack.
Well, that concludes this episode of our Forgotten Realms D&D campaign with the Protectors. If you have enjoyed these or other episodes, please remember to subscribe to this channel. Hit the like button for this video. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and watch us live on Twitch TV every other Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, or as the schedule is determined. Both links to Twitter and Twitch are available down in the description of this video. Until next time, have a great day.